Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. Wanted to ask this question. Is archery and or bow hunting in your survival plan for when the S hits the fan? Stick around and we'll examine some of the pros and cons right after this. So, a number of years ago, I was really wrapped up and totally involved in bow hunting and in archery. So much so that I quit my regular job and actually opened an archery and sporting goods store in my hometown. It was a wonderful experience. I learned an awful lot, and through that I made an awful lot of good friends. But let's focus in on the archery and the bow hunting aspects and how it may play into survivalism after the shit hits the fan. So here we go. A bow is really silent and deadly. At 15 to 25 yards, the sound is very minimal. If you can pull that bow back and you've got enough practice so that you know exactly where that arrow is going to go when you aim, point that thing downfield, chances are you're going to have a successful hunt, whether it's small game or big game. Now, bows are modular. You can get them so that they go all the way up into the 60, 70, 75, even 80-pound range, if you're tough enough to pull that string back. Other options are crossbows, those kinds of things. But when I was seriously involved in archery in a previous life, I really did get wrapped up in it. Let me tell you, I had my own shop, so I sold bows, I fitted bows, I did training, individual and group training. Through that experience, I was able to secure a National Field Archery Association certified instructor qualification, and through that qualification I was able to conduct hunter safety courses for the young folks that were first qualifying to get their hunting licenses and all that. So I would team up with another fella, and I'd concentrate on the bow hunting part of it. He'd concentrate on the shotgun and rifle part of it, and it seemed to work out pretty good. During that period of time, I was involved in a local sportsman's club. We had an archery range there and belonged to a group of similar archery ranges around the area, so that we would have traveling tournaments, and each club would host a weekend or a weekday, usually Saturdays, to have a shoot. And we followed the NFAA outdoor rules. We were punching paper. 3D targets were just coming into the picture, and we did get some 3D targets after a while, but we were punching paper, so we were shooting anywhere from 10 yards to 80 yards, and traveling around, met an awful lot of good people. I became proficient enough that I was on the outdoor ranges. I was in the upper 10% of the shooters in that league. Now, you jump up to the Mid-Atlantic regionals and the national finals and all that. I'd be lucky to be in the top 50 or 100, but it was enjoyable, it was a lot of fun, and it was very productive. I bow hunted a lot during that period of time. I was able to work with other fellas that were just getting into bow hunting and take them out with me, and had a really good time dealing with that kind of a thing. But what can archery do for you? What can bow hunting do for you when the S hits the fan? It can do an awful lot. The report of a rifle or a shotgun, when it goes off, is very loud, very, very noticeable, and you can hear it from a long ways away. So if you're trying to maintain operational security so that you don't let people find where you are, hunting with a bow, if you're going to be hunting for food, hunting with a bow is really, really silent and deadly. You can get those shots off. There's so many different techniques, from ground hunting to ground blinds to tree stands to even driving the deer, I guess, for lack of a better term. It's not really driving, it's working in coordination with another hunter or two to get the deer moving around and having them go through their regular tracking areas that you've got staked out, and you know how far it is, that kind of a thing. I'm not going to get into hunting techniques. I'm not going to get into how to sight your bow in. There's hundreds of different videos out here in YouTube land that show you how to do it. There's some really good ones, and there's some really dumb ones too. Back in the day, I was shooting both indoor and outdoor targets in indoor and outdoor ranges that we had around, and was using a marten bow, I believe. I think I used Dartons. I think I had a Golden Eagle for a period of time that served as my target bow. And when I went bow hunting, I had a marten bow hunting type bow. Can't remember exactly which model it was, but when we moved south and came here to North Carolina, I sold everything, and pretty much everything was gone, and I haven't picked up a bow in over 20 years, I think. And I kind of got the bug because my grandsons are really avid into hunting, duck hunting, deer hunting, turkey hunting, all kinds of stuff. Their mom got them crossbows for Christmas last year, and watched them shoot those a couple of times. But anyway, I decided that it would be a good idea to go dust off my bow skills, archery skills, all that kind of stuff, and went to First Flight Archery here in Raleigh, and met a fellow named John Wicker. He's the owner of the pro shop there. They've got a beautiful, beautiful shop. He's got all kinds of inventory there. He's a very talented bow shop technician, knows how to set up a bow. They've got an indoor range, 20 yards. That's they have indoor tournaments, ladies tournaments, bow hunting type tournaments, that kind of stuff. But he's really focused on youth and youth archery. So he's doing a Junior Olympic archery sponsorship and training, and he's taken quite a few of his youngsters and taken them to prominence in both state, national, and worldwide events. So John's a pretty good guy. Stopped in, we talked, kind of told him where I was, what I was looking to do, how I wanted to approach it and all that. So he takes an old bow off the shelf and kind of fiddles around with it, sets it up, tosses me a release and says, well, come on out on the lanes and we'll shoot a couple and see what you think. That bow was a little bit longer than, in fact, it was about as long as what I was used to shooting years ago. So it had a pretty tall axle-to-axle length, and in doing so, it felt very comfortable. It was just, boom, it was there. String, I found my old anchor points with string up against my nose and the corner of my lip and behind my jaw and all that. Felt very comfortable. Took a couple of shots with that and thought, well, yeah, but I don't want to do target archery. I want to do bow hunting archery, and you know, I can still use the bow to shoot paper and shoot targets and stuff like that. So looking around in the shop, trying to figure it out. Most of the bow hunting bows that are available in the shops have a much shorter axle-to-axle length, the ATA length. The one that I've got is about 35 inches, I believe. And what I picked up was the Mathews Mission Ballistic. Now, it's not the brand newest bow on the market. This was new in his shop, but it's been out on the marketplace for at least 4 years, maybe a little bit longer. Pretty short, standard, I guess, axle-to-axle length. Worked with him, got it set up, got it to the draw weight that felt comfortable for me. He installed a peep sight. It came with a set of sights. It came with a fall-away arrow rest, a quiver, picked up a half a dozen arrows, and a target for shooting plinking here in the backyard, and walked out of his shop a little bit lighter on the cash side, but the deal that I got, I think, was really, really good. John didn't pull any punches. He gave me the best deal he could, and I was pretty impressed. I went in with a budget in mind and came in just a few bucks short of that budget, so I think it was really good. So if you're in the northern North Carolina area, around the RTP kind of a thing, I highly recommend you stop in at First Flight Archery and talk to John about your bow hunting needs. He's not sponsoring these videos. I just thought I'd give him a shout out because he really does know what he's talking about. He had that bow pretty much all set up. It was sitting on the rack. It needed to be sighted in, so I got out here over the weekend, got the target set up, had to build a stand for the target so that I could get it up off the ground a little bit, because I don't like shooting down into the ground. So I put it so that the target was about chest high, and came out here during the day yesterday and started sighting it in. So I first started at 10 yards, got the 10-yard pin so I knew where it was going. It was shooting high and left. So I adjusted the pin high and left, and it brought the arrow back in and down, and pretty soon I was hitting pretty much the center of the target. Once I had the confidence that I had the 10 yards sighted in, I came back to 20 and started shooting at 20. Took about, I don't know, maybe 3 rounds of 5 arrows, and I was able to find out exactly where that 20-yard pin needed to go. Adjusted it a little bit. It's still shooting just a little bit high and a little bit left. Sorry, I think I said right before. A little bit left. And so I wanted to come out today and videotape me shooting to see if it was anything in my form that could be causing it. Arm twist, shoulder caving in, whatever. So I thought I'd take some video of me shooting so that I could analyze myself. Yeah, I know, a doctor that has himself as a patient as a fool for a patient, but we'll see how that turns out. But during the day yesterday, I was able to really start grouping into that 20 yards. And let me show you what happens when you really have a well-tuned bow and that your shooting stance and style is very consistent. Now, you remember the story of Robin Hood back in the day. Well, Robin Hood won a tournament by shooting one arrow into another arrow, and that's what happened at 20 yards yesterday when I was sighting the bow in. And I thought, well, that's a pretty cool trophy. I've done this before, back in the day when I was shooting consistently, but after 20 or 25 shots, to do it again tells me a couple of things. that the bow is very well tuned, and that my stance and style are in sync with each other so that this is even possible. But the biggest factor, I think, is making sure that that bow is tuned right. And I've checked how he set it up, made sure that the tiller was square, understood how he put it all together, understood how the cams worked, and it was balanced very, very well. It was centered very, very well. That arrow rest was dead on center. So he did a great job just off the shelf setting that thing up. I got it sighted in. Going to work on it a little bit more today, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Will bow hunting and archery skills be helpful in a crisis type situation? If the S hits the fan and you're faced with survival kinds of things, you can bet it will be. If you're good at shooting your bow, you're going to be able to hunt small game. You're going to be able to hunt big game, deer anyway. I suppose if you really wanted to apply yourself and invest in the higher weighted bows and stuff like that, you can hunt bigger game like moose and elk and stuff like that if you're a mind to. But being able to take a deer in a crisis type situation with a silent bow, I think it's going to be a great skill to have when the S hits the fan. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.